Hey everybody, it's Chris and Jamie from Steeda again, and today we're going to be talking about alignments. When you lower your vehicle, you're going to need to take your Mustang to an alignment shop to get everything dialed in for the street or track or drag strip, however you intend to use your car. But when you get the car back, you are going to get an alignment sheet to basically breaking down what the alignment was before and after. The goal today here is to go over this alignment sheet.
All right, there's a few important measurements on the alignment sheet that you're going to need to be aware of. Camber, caster, and toe. Obviously on the S550 chassis Mustang, you've got camber adjustment and toe adjustment front and rear. Caster is a front only adjustment. But understanding a little bit about what they are will go a long way in helping understand exactly what was done to your car. Camber is the top to bottom tilt of the tire, how it's standing up, for lack of a better word.
So if this is your tire and it's leaning towards the inside, the top of the car, the bottom of the car, leaning towards the inside, you're looking at negative camber. But if it's leaning towards the outside, it's positive camber.
And the next measurement is caster, and it's kingpin inclination. It's how the steering rotates from top to bottom. It's kind of hard to give a good graphic with your hand showing what that means, but it's a very important measurement on keeping the car centered going down the road. It gives the car the ability to recenter the steering when you make small inputs. The third angle that's important is toe. It's how the tire is pointing down the road.
So again, if this is the top of the vehicle and the bottom of the vehicle, you're looking at toe in or toe out. And toe in certain situations is better, and toe out in certain situations is better. And typically you like to have a little bit of toe in on these S550s?
A little bit of toe in on the S550 helps get rid of some of the inside tire wear, because a lot of these cars come with a staggered tire setup and you just can't do a front to back tire rotation. Having the alignment properly set up is important for how your car drives, how it handles, fuel mileage, and for tire longevity. Typically, most of your alignment systems are going to give you a range of adjustment, and that range of adjustment on their printout is going to be green. And just because it's in that green range doesn't mean that it is absolutely proper.
So what he means by that is if you get an alignment sheet back from your alignment shop and it's just green across the board, don't stop there. Make sure you look at the numbers and understand how everything works, because just because it's green doesn't mean it's right.
Correct. The alignment sheet, if you look at it closely, you will see that there is a center point to the adjustment specifications. And that is ideally where you want your alignment to be, as close to that center point as possible. If your car calls for 1.5 degrees of negative camber as its optimum number, then you want it as close to that as possible. Same thing with caster. If it says you need 7 degrees, then it needs to be as close as possible. Same thing with the front and rear toe. Just make sure that it is where it is supposed to be. Other important things that the alignment sheets don't always show you is cross camber and cross caster. That is the difference side to side of the adjustment that they have made and left your car at. If you have more camber on one side than you do the other, you're going to have cross camber. The same thing with caster. If you have an imbalance of caster one side to the other, you're going to have cross caster as a result. And these are things that can cause the car to drift or wander.
So with that said, Jamie, you kind of touched on the front. Is there anything different about the rear of the car that you need to be cognizant of in comparison to the front?
Well, the rear of the car is fairly similar to the front, except you're not doing a caster measurement, because obviously you're not steering the rear wheel, so caster is not as important a measurement in the rear. But one of the adjustment angles you really need to be aware of is thrust angle. It is the difference in your toe side to side in the rear. If you have more toe on one side than the other, you're going to introduce what's called thrust angle, and it's going to cause the car to try to drive the rear wheels in a different direction than the front. And it's very important that that number be as close to 0 as possible.
So that basically means that your toe in the rear needs to be equal on both sides. Frankly, in almost all cases, you want the numbers to be as close to equal as possible on both sides, correct?
Yes, you want the left side and the right side of the car to be as close to equal to each other as possible. Now, there are conditions and situations where it's just not possible, but it needs to be as close as it can be got to make your car drive properly.
Now keep in mind, there are street alignments, there are performance alignments, there are track alignments, and everything in between. Now, when we are talking about what shows up as green on these sheets, typically that's factory alignment specs that you would get from Ford based on a 2015 plus S550 Mustang. But again, if you were to install Steeda progressive lowering springs and you plan to autocross or do back roads or get out on track, be sure to give us a call because we'll be happy to kind of guide you through that process on what the potential alignment specs are depending on your driving style and what you intend to do with the vehicle. Do you have anything to add, Jamie?
Yeah, what you plan on doing with your vehicle has a lot to do with what alignment specs you need to use. The factory alignment specs are for a typically street-driven car. It's not for a car that's going to be driven at an autocross regularly or at a track event or where you're trying to get all you can out of your 60-foot at the drag strip. With those, that's all specialty alignment, and they all require their own specific specifications. And like Chris mentioned, if you have questions about that, you can call in or send us an email and we can get you headed in the right direction on those specifications for your car.
Awesome. With that said, if you have any comments, please let us know. We want to know what you guys think about alignments. If you want us to do a deeper dive into performance alignments, track alignments, drag alignments, and everything in between, hit that like and subscribe button, the notification bell, and don't forget the most important thing.
Speed matters.